This is what Mark Ogden's been writing. Pep Guardiola regards Jack Grealish as important a target as Harry Kane. Aston Villa's £33 million club record move for Norwich midfielder Emiliano Buendia given City encouragement that a deal could be done for Grealish, who's rated at £100 million by Villa. Grealish signed a 5-year contract to stay at Villa Park in 2020. Stevie, I feel drawn to you first because we've talked about Jack Grealish off camera and you're not that excited about him compared to others.
I don't think number one, I don't think he's a Man City player. You know, the one thing that I do dislike about the way Jack Grealish plays, and don't get me wrong, I think he's a great player, but I think he could be better. He has far too many touches on the ball, and if you think of Man City, you're talking 1 and 2 touch and movement and a going at pace. Jack Grealish is 3 and 4 touches. It's almost like he's trying to get a foul rather than look for a pass or play somebody in. So, listen, yes, he's worth £100 million to Aston Villa because, you know, without him, they probably wouldn't be in the Premier League right now. So to them, he's worth £100 million. I wouldn't pay £100 million for him.
Craig?
Well, what I would say is that Guardiola's not just a coach, and the guys might agree or disagree. He's not just a coach who spends big money in players and then that's it. He, I think, makes a lot of players better. Raheem Sterling, I think, is a case in point. I mean, OK, he's not been in great form the last 6 months, but over the piece at Man City, I think Guardiola has improved his game unbelievable. So I think he improves players, and I think there is a room for improvement. I agree on that, what Stevie said. I think there's room for improvement there in Jack Grealish, but I think he's a super player. And I think Guardiola sees something that he can work with and that he can improve and he can get better and he can enhance Man City. But where I disagree is that he's more important than a out-and-out quality frontman. And I'll tell you why. Man City have plenty of people at the moment that can do similar things to Jack Grealish. But they don't have people that can do what Sergio Aguero has given them for a decade. And I know they have Gabriel Jesus, but I count him in that sentence. He will not do what Aguero did over the piece. He'll get a few goals now and again, but he can't deliver what Aguero could. And then there'll be people that will say, well, you know, they did it for the most part up to the Champions League final this season without a striker. Yeah, but you're not going to do that every year. So it is hugely important, more important, I think personally, to bring in a quality frontman than it is to go and splurge the bulk of the money on another attacking midfielder when I look at my squad and think, oh, which attacking midfielder will I play today? So I don't agree with the more important part.
What do you think, Robbo?
Well, I agree with Craig in terms of they need a centre forward, that's for sure. But I would say Jack Grealish is different to the other players they've got. When you look at De Bruyne, he's a passer of the ball. Bernardo Silva is a passer of the ball, plays around pressure. When you look at Sterling, he's a runner in behind. Jack Grealish is a good 1v1 runner with the ball. That's what he brings to Aston Villa. That's what he's brought to England in the last couple of games. He can go past people in and around the box. And Man City have been brilliant this season. They had 2 or 3 games against Chelsea where they didn't really create too much in and around the box. And that's why I think he's interested in Jack Grealish, because he's something different to what the other players have got.
But Robbo, so can Phil Foden do all those things. So can Riyad Mahrez do all those things. You know, one-on-one players.
I'm not sure they can.
Oh, you're telling me Riyad Mahrez doesn't take people on and around the box? I mean, how many dummies has he sold people over the last 3 or 4 years? And we've seen how good Phil
Riyad
Foden
Mahrez is a player that's coming in front. Riyad Mahrez is playing on the right-hand side and he's coming on his left foot and he's getting crosses in and he can drop his shoulder. But I think Jack Grealish is the player in 1v1 situations. I would imagine, I'm not sure about this in terms of stats, he's probably gone past more players this season than any other player in the Premier League in terms of beating somebody and going past and getting the other side of them. And that's what I think he would bring to Man City. I'm not saying he's the world's best player, but I still think he is the player that can go past people.
But Robbo, Jack Grealish goes past people in the middle of the park. That's generally when you see him doing that. On the odd occasion, if he gets in the box, he'll try and beat somebody. But he's running past people from the middle of the park. That's not how Manchester City play. City pass the ball from back to middle to front. Now, if you think that Pep Guardiola is going to change what has made them so great over the last 5-6 years, to buy one guy and change the way they play. I don't see it. I just don't see him as being a Manchester City player.
Well, Pep Guardiola obviously does, because he's interested in him and he's been talking about him for quite a while. And I think he's the player that they're looking at.
So we're being told, but...
I see him. I have
don't
to be
believe
honest.
it when you read the papers.
Well, I've got to be honest. I do see him fitting in at any club, to be honest, if his attitude's right. So I've no argument with him going to Man City and what Pep might do with him and how he can improve him, and how that intense nature of his coaching will see a better Jack Grealish, and even better. My point is, and I think it was on the graphic, was he's seen as more important than, and I know Rob will disagree slightly, but I still think we can't disregard the need for somebody who's going to bang you 30 goals plus a season. There's a reason Robert Lewandowski is what he is. There's a reason Harry Kane and Erling Haaland are what they are. We've just seen France pull Karim Benzema, almost beg him to come back into the squad, because this position is super important. And I don't think because City had a pretty good season without a natural striker, we should get away from that.
First point, actually, the actual first point I said there, Craig, was I agree with you 100%. A centre forward has to be their best option. He's the player that can centre forward they need.
Now, Robert.
But I also think Jack Grealish is the player that can go past people.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.